Good morning and welcome to Earth and Sky's Summer Solstice service. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I am really excited today. We've been talking throughout the year about the Wheel of the Year. That's been our theme this year. Before we get into that though, just another friendly reminder, if you haven't already, please hit the like button on our Facebook page and hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. We're really looking forward to getting a lot more subscribers so that we can do even more things with the content that we're working on bringing to you. So thank you to all of you who have already done that with clicking the like button or the subscribe button. If you want to be notified of all of our videos as they come out, sometimes you might get things released a little bit sooner than what we notify people. When you are on YouTube and you click the subscribe button, hit the little bell next to that, and that will get you updated before anybody else of some of our services. And so with that in mind, the Wheel of the Year, that's been our theme this year, and I've been pretty excited to talk about it, about all of the different holidays. It's really following the Wheel of Nature, as the Celts did, and as many people in many countries all over the world have done for eons. And so we have this wheel that we've been using with each of the holidays. So it's actually time to turn the wheel now and have summer up here at the top. So for the summer solstice, that's the longest day of the year. We have the most sunlight, which is why we have the sun up here representing that. And I also just wanted to make a quick little mention of just a little plug, because I like to do that with people who have really worthy things. This was actually handmade. If you're interested in metal art, Man in the Moon Metalworks is just an amazing place. They're so talented. So this represents our sun for right now. Now, as you can tell on the wheel, we have the summer solstice here. Directly across from that is the winter solstice, because they are directly opposite each other in the wheel. So June 21st, roughly the 20th to the 22nd, depending on the year. Leap years really change that over the different years, where it is between the 20th and the 22nd. And then you look right across from that. So 6 months ago is when we had Yule, which is the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year. So that would then, of course, be December 20th to December 22nd, somewhere in there. Now, another way to look at this is the northern and the southern hemisphere. So we are in the northern hemisphere where we're filming. So right now we're in our summer solstice. If for any friends that are watching this in the southern hemisphere, of course, you are currently in your winter solstice. So it's kind of nice to see, even as this wheel turns, it's just like our world turns, and we're all connected, and all of these things are going at the same time in opposite parts. So when we are over here and we're celebrating Ostara, then our friends in the other hemisphere will be over here. So it's just kind of a fun way to really see how this works. Now, of the sabbats, there are 4 lower sabbats and then 4 of the upper sabbats. So these are the lower sabbats because they're basically just on the meteorological calendar. So this is the shortest day of the year, the longest day of the year. Over here we have an equal day, so it's equal parts light and dark, and then when we fill out this one over here, that's also going to be in equal parts light and dark. Now the others actually tend to be more about traditions throughout the year, but today I really want to focus mostly on the summer solstice. So this is a time of fairy season, this is midsummer. Depending on who you are, you might be considering this the beginning of summer, or you might be considering this the actual midpoint of summer. Astronomers and scientists use the summer solstice, which this year is the 21st, to mark the start of summer. However, meteorologists actually use June 1st as the start of summer, and a lot of people in the northern hemisphere actually consider summer to be Memorial Day through Labor Day, and then they would consider this to be midsummer. So when I was thinking about that, it's really interesting because you can take that to mean whatever, you can take whichever definition resonates with you, and that's the same thing in life. We have so many choices in life, And it's all about perspective, and it's all about words. So if we're considering this to be the midpoint of summer, does that change how the day actually feels or how long the day actually is? Not really. If we're considering it to be the start of summer, does that change how the day feels or how long the light is this day? Not really, but those are all just different words and definitions, and the same experience is happening on this day. So consider that when you're talking with people and when you're engaged in your own life about how you can make choices about what your perspective is and what your thoughts are and how you feel about something, and know that you can shift your experience of it even though the circumstances might be the same for being, the longest light of the year. And this specific holiday is probably one of my least favorite holidays, if I'm going to be honest about it, because having lupus, the sun is very hard for me. I jokingly refer to it as my arch nemesis sometimes. And so this is a holiday that celebrates the sun. So I was thinking, as I'm preparing for this and having a pretty rough week with all of this heat, so I'm thinking, how do I want to talk to people about celebrating the sun in this joyful time that most people love with summer, and most people are so excited to get out and play in the sun and swim in the lakes and be on the boats. And I'm just thinking, I can't wait for winter. So what am I going to talk about with this? And being honest with it, how can I bring in lessons for myself through this too? And where can I find to have that joy, and where's the lesson for me in this as well as what I can share with other people? And I started thinking about balance and challenge lines. And so on the wheel of the year, we have balance at these two sections of the year, and then these are the kind of the challenge lines, because we have the longest night of the year, which for a lot of people is more of a challenge because it's such a short day and it gets really cold and a long night. And then we have over here the other challenge line where we have a really long day. We can be really active. We have light all day long, and then such a short period of night. And so it's really looking at in your life where you have balance and where you have challenge lines, and where can you push those challenge lines a bit too, because whenever you come up to a challenge line and you're trying to figure out, so where's the boundary that I can push, where's the goal that I want to get to, what wall do I feel that is in front of me, and how can I push past that? How can I push past the fear and push past whatever obstacles are in my way, and then just get past that and grow even more and get to the other side of it. And so really looking at what are the challenge lines that are in your life. Again, referencing back to the wheel, as we talk about using the wheel as a gauge for your life. So we talked about starting in the winter, and the winter is that planning time. And so in the winter, people tend to hibernate a little bit inside, especially in the colder climates, and animals will tend sometimes to hibernate or to slow down a little bit. And that's our planning time. So that's when we're really thinking about what our goals are for the next year and what do we want to do. And then we come right in between these two holidays, and then you have New Year's, which is where everybody's making their New Year's resolutions and what do you want, what are your goals. So then we're kind of talking publicly a little bit about what our goals are for the next year. And then you're coming into Imbolc and the lambing season, and you're just starting to see those first signs of spring. And as those first signs of spring start to happen, then you're just starting to emerge a little bit, and you're coming forth, you're seeing what your plans are, and your plans are kind of coming to fruition in your head, where you can kind of see where those goals are. You're starting to line them out, and you're just starting to feel that light awakening in your life. And then you come up here, and then you start to see where you can plant your seeds. So as we come into spring, and we're in the beginning of March, it's time to start planting the seeds, and the end of March especially, really planting those seeds and figuring out where you want to go with those starry and welcoming in the fairies in that season. And then we come up to Beltane next, and Beltane is that really great spring festival where you run around the maypole and you have ribbons and all of the other festivities that are welcoming in that height of spring, and all of the seeds at that point have been planted, and so then you're starting to wait to see them grow. And at Beltane, actually, you're starting to see the things starting to sprout up just a little bit, and so you've got where your plans and whatever you decided you wanted to do back here, and you made those goals, you finalized them, you started planting the seeds. Over here you start seeing the seeds starting to sprout up just a little bit, and then now we're in the summer solstice, which is where you can start to see the very first signs of harvest, and you see all of those things you were thinking about this winter. Now you're starting to see plans take effect. Maybe you're working more, maybe you're outside more, maybe, whatever those goals, whatever those plans are that we talked about this winter, hopefully you're seeing that really start to happen, where you can see some measurable outcomes and some measurable results from whatever it is that you wanted to plant. If you're making things, and now we have all of these, the art fairs and the craft shows and vendor shows and all types of different things, and a lot of people were working hard on making those items in the winter and now selling them through the summer. And so many other examples too, the farmers in the field, which is where we started with too, with the wheel of the year, starting with planting and growing and then now seeing the harvest. If you go out to farms, you'll see the corn that's almost knee high because we're near the 4th of July. So, you're starting to see all of those different results kind of coming through. So it's really a celebration of that hard work and starting to see that hard work pay off. We're not quite at the harvest season, which is where we have 3 harvest festivals coming up soon, but we're seeing the very first of all of that planting and all of that, the results of that starting to come forth. And so with that, where can you find your challenge line? Where is it that you maybe need to pull up a little bit more strength within yourself or a little bit more motivation within yourself to really push through even more on that goal line that you have? Where is it that you can refine your plans a little more, or look back if you're just realizing, oh, you had made some goals in January and you may have forgotten about them over time as other things started happening. So maybe it's time to look back at that and realize, you know what, those were goals I wanted to do, I wanted to have, and so I'm gonna push forward, I'm gonna see that challenge line and raise it as I move forward and I come into making those things happen. And what a great time of year for most people to step forward and make all of that happen as the sun is shining down. The word solstice itself is kind of interesting. Sol meaning sun and stis meaning the stillness. And so in ancient times they would talk a lot about how it seemed at the summer solstice that the sun seemed to stand still because it would just continue shining so brightly. And the same thing in the winter, the sun seemed to stand still but not being present because it would be the dark days and the darker nights that were longer. And so where can you figure out what challenges you and how can you push through that? And at the same time, with that being said, it's also a good time to look to see where you might be overstretching yourself a bit too. Sometimes we get into the summer season and we push ourselves too much too, and so we might feel like we're overstretching ourselves. So what do you need to do to pull back a little bit and see if you have any energy that's being depleted in certain areas, and where can you fill in those energy gaps and those energy holes, if you want to call it that, within your life, within your energy field, within your life, where it's a good time to assess and see, where am I lacking a little bit, where am I pushing too much, and what do I need to do to fill in for that? What do I need to do to take in a bit of time to heal myself, to kind of take care of that energy of yourself? Because it's important to really challenge yourself and stretch and move forward, but it's also important to honor yourself and where you're at and not, pushing yourself to a point of being powerless either. And because it's important for you to take care of yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself first, then you're not going to be nearly as useful as you can be for everybody else and everything else you have going on in your life and for the goals that you have that you want to achieve. It's also a reminder just to really take time and assess, because we did a lot of assessing back here in the winter. That was where we really took time, we withdrew, pulled back, and took time to assess and see where are you at? What's going on? Where do you want to go? And lay those plans Well, you've laid those plans, you've planted the seeds, you're seeing it starting to come up, but it's important at this point to again assess, to maybe step back just a little bit and see where are you at, what's going on, where can you challenge, where can you push yourself more, and where do you need to pull back and fill in any energy gaps that you have within yourself. I really liked this quote that I heard, that I read on a website. It was on the Urban Ghosts media page, but it said, talking about midsummer, said, "Midsummer has long been a time when myth and reality converge, when deities dance in woodlands and fiery festivities mark the advent of a midsummer's day." I just thought that was so descriptive and a beautiful way to talk about the festivities of midsummer. The Swedes have a huge celebration at midsummer that they do. It actually is the start of a 5-week-long holiday for the Swedes, and it starts with the bonfires and dancing together, and it's just a huge tradition. They gather flowers, and a lot of times they'll make wreaths out of the flowers and the herbs that they pick in the morning, and then in the afternoon they'll hang all of those on the maypole and dance around the maypole, and it extends all the way out into the evening. So a little bit similar to Beltane, they do some of those same festivities at midsummer in Sweden. Midsummer, or the summer solstice, has many names in many different areas. It's also known as Litha, and Litha is the day of celebrating the Lord of the Light. It's the Oak King that is often seen as sitting on the greenwood throne, so that's in a bit of a Wiccan tradition where they'll reference it as Litha. The original thought, and this was an interesting tradition too, where June weddings are often thought of as being especially fortunate, and you always hear about the people who want to be a June bride or have that June wedding. It's one of the most popular months for weddings, and that tradition actually came from the Druids, where they would use midsummer to celebrate a marriage of heaven and earth. And so they would do a ritual that celebrated that marriage of, the heaven having so much light right now and the earth being ready to join. And some of the cultures would pick herbs this time of year too, to be used in magic throughout the year, and they would bless them over the bonfire for the summer solstice. And as you've probably started to gather, a lot of these festivities that we have throughout the year have bonfires involved. We reference that throughout many of the even at Yule, a lot of times we'll have, it might be a hearth fire instead of a bonfire, but that fire is such a transformative and protective type of an element that it is often brought in. You're going to see that continuing all the way through all of the fall harvest festivities that we talk about, and that merriment of all the communities gathering together. So that same thing, of course, is happening now with the summer solstice. And so picking herbs, and a lot of herbs are growing all over around here. So if there are certain herbs that you're interested in using, even if you're not somebody who practices magic, but you want to bring herbs in for the kitchen, you can actually do that celebration and carry that tradition on by blessing them over the bonfire. So if you want to gather them and then bless them over the bonfire and then use them in your cooking, and it's a great way to celebrate the start of the harvest as well. One of the traditions that I really like is where they'll talk about, in some cultures they will go in the morning, they'll gather and they'll go swimming in a lake or a river, some type of body of water, and they'll go towards the sun, because it's as though they're starting that cycle with the sun. So they jump in and swim towards the sun, and that's very cleansing and protective as well. Anytime you're in water, that's a very cleansing time. You can do this yourself at home when you wake up on midsummer and you want to hop in the shower, and as you're in the shower, just visualize that water coming down and cleansing you. Think about that sunlight and how you're just shedding all of the everything that's been gathering from Yule until now, and you're just shedding everything that no longer serves you, anything that you don't need anymore, and you can just see it all washing off of you as you're in the shower. And then it's also very healing. Water is very, very healing, cleansing, healing, and protective. And then some people would then gather the water and mix it with the ashes of the bonfire, and then you can sprinkle that around your house, your yard, even on other people that you care about. And then that also is bringing those cleansing, healing, transformative, protective properties, combining them together, and then blessing your home, your property, your lands, and yourself. Some would drink fermented honey, and referencing back to the Druid tradition with the marriage of heaven and earth, they would drink the fermented honey and consider that being done under the honeymoon outside. So just an interesting tradition, so many interesting traditions. June's moon is actually traditionally considered a strawberry moon, but if you go back in farther history, some would call it the honeymoon because of the summer solstice. Now next year it's going to be really fun because we're going to be adding to the Wheel of the Year. We've been talking about the holidays this year, and for those that join us live, we actually do celebrate the holidays. If you've been coming to enough of the services, we enjoy having our closer group of people that celebrate. And then, so next year, in addition to the holidays, we're going to be talking about the moon phases. So we'll be adding those onto each of the spokes of the wheel, because each moon, each month, has a different representation, whether it's the wolf moon or the strawberry moon or the umpteen other moons. I'm not going to give them all away right now, but each of them has its own meaning too. So we'll really be delving into that next year, which I definitely look forward to. But as far as the summer solstice, I hope that gives you some ideas, because you can really make it what you want it to be for yourself. And the holidays, each of the sabbats, are a great time to really gather with friends and family and celebrate nature and celebrate the Wheel of the Year and just getting into balance with yourself. It's more than anything, it's about coming into the present moment, realizing where you are in life, realizing where you are in harmony with nature that's around you and the cycle of the wheel that's around you, and just taking time to honor that moment, come into the present moment, give back something to the earth. A lot of times people would gather some herbs and feed a few of them into the bonfire too, as a thanks to the earth for, you know, everything that's being provided here. And so think about what it is that you would like to focus on with the summer solstice. See where you're at with your goals. What were you thinking about in December and in January as we were planning in those winter months? What were your New Year's resolutions? If you didn't have any, maybe you wanted to think about what goals you wanted to have. Think about how the seeds you've been planting this year have been sprouting, which ones are growing, which ones are struggling a little bit, and then look around you now and see what's starting to really come up. Where do you need to challenge yourself a bit? Where can you push harder? Where can you find some extra motivation? Where do you need a little bit more self-will and determination? And where can you gather those extra strengths? And where do you need to protect yourself a little bit more? Where are you lacking a little bit? Where do you need to care for yourself? Where do you need to nurture yourself? Fix those energy leaks within yourself. And then that way you can shine just like the sun is shining. And I want you to feel like you are shining in your life as we come up into the harvest season soon, which is my favorite time of year. So I hope that gives you some ideas and some inspiration. I hope that you take some time on June 21st or the evening of the 20th or the evening of the 21st, whatever suits you, and figure out how to get into that present moment and what you want to do to assess for yourself and to give back a bit to the earth and to just see where things are at for you. Let us know in the comments down below how you plan to celebrate the summer solstice, and anything that you liked from this service, any questions you have, any thoughts that you have. I love having your comments down below. My husband and I read them all the time, and we do enjoy it. Sometimes it inspires us for other services, and so if you have thoughts for other services as well, always feel free to let us know that too. We're definitely open to suggestions. And this week for meditation, we have an extra special treat for you. It's actually a journey into the forest. So I hope you enjoy the journey into the forest. It's a visual journey, so it's your choice with this one if you want to have your eyes open or if you want to have your eyes closed on this one. I'll leave that up to you. There is a chipmunk that comes up and joins us. I wish I had a little bit better control on the camera. I will work on that next time. But he joins for 2 or 3 minutes in the meditation. So if you haven't already and you are waiting for the end of this, remember to hit that like button right down below on the Facebook page, or hit the subscribe button and that little bell next to it on YouTube. Thank you and have a wonderful day.